Welcome back dito sa latest episode ng Deep Dive. Obviously, with everything going on, we didn't have the pleasure of having our special guest today with us in person. But obviously, whether in person or out of sight or whether online, parating in style, kasama po natin, fashionista, Professor Clive Arguelles. Thank you very much, Clive, for joining us.
Thank you, Richard, for having me. And you yourself, ay ano din, no, pina-follow namin yung fashion style mo.
I will take that as a backhanded. Si Sir Ronald may bago siyang idea. Backhanded criticism. No, I'm just kidding aside. Huwag natin pag-usapan si Sir Ronald, baka masira yung episode natin. Cliff.
You were on Tatler, oh, di ba? That's style for you.
Oo nga, parang parinig naman. Shoutout naman dyan sa Vogue magazine, baka naman. But on a serious note, obviously today I wanted to start actually asking you a bit about Kiko, about BAM, about so-called Team Liwanag, or self-described Team Liwanag, if I can put it that way, or kung kailangan ng liwanag sa dilim, Grand Coalition, tactical voting, tactical coalition issue. But before that, obviously, what's dominating the conversation today? Etong Imee joining Sara and all, parang all leather. Ano ba to? The Janet Jackson vibes ba yan? What's going on there? Is that retro? Angkas, the rider, ano bang vibes dyan? Ito ba dahil si Imee ay medyo namamangka sa lupa, meaning her numbers are collapsing, so she has to angkas her way forward? What is your read of this team up?
Yeah, I think, sabi mo nga kanina, Team Liwanag, ito bagong team, no? Team Kaitiman. Hindi ko alam kung may team eh.
Well,
Team
Kasamaan daw joins Kadiliman. Hindi natin sinasabi yan, ha? We're absolutely objective. I'm just saying, binash-bash siya as Kasamaan joins Kadiliman. Why did they choose black of all colors? It's quite a... I mean, I understand it's a Holy Week and all of that, but, considering, how they're perceived by certain quarters. I mean, I find it weird, Clive. Hindi ba galit ang mga Duterte sa mga Marcoses because of dictatorship, because of human rights violations, ang sama-sama daw ng mga Marcoses? Well, last time I checked, Imee did not disown her father nor their dictatorship or the human rights violations and all issues with the family's ill-gotten wealth. So, why would Sara do that?
Yeah. Well, I think at this point, parang panic mode na to sa campaign team ni Imee Marcos, no? Talagang you smell it eh. You feel it eh. Kasi ilang rounds ng survey na talagang lagapak na si Senator Imee, no? Talagang hindi lang siya outside the Magic 12, talagang bumababa yung kanyang ranking at yung kanyang number. So, and we have a month to go. And that means na kailangan talagang mag-rescue. So, I think ang idea dito ay parang salbabida ngayon si VP Sara, no? Teka, i-rescue mo ako dito.
Yeah.
Di ba? Parang shark-infested waters, everyone smelling the blood, wala na yung presidential sister.
Yeah.
Okay, kami akyat, siya lulubog, no? So, so talagang, so I think medyo desperate measure, di ba? Na kailangan niya talaga na kasi for the past months, yes, nakikita natin na talagang umaalyado si Senator Imee sa mga Duterte, 'di ba? Yung kanyang hearing, kanyang mga investigation, no? But if you ask VP Sara before, 'di ba, yung mga interview sa kanya, medyo downplay nila yung alliance ng dalawa eh, no?
Exactly,
Pero
exactly,
they have no choice now eh. Hindi na pwedeng cosplay yung alliance nila. They have to be public about it. And the reason is because nga ang numbers ni Senator Imee is going down. Whether this will work, no, that's another question. Kasi I think, 'di ba, ang nakita natin, hindi naman nagkulang na si Senator Imee na ipangalandakan, iparinig sa maraming tao na siya ay maka-Duterte, 'di ba? Yung hearing that's on di ba? That's on national that's part of national conversation. Televised yan, no? Nasa internet din lang eh. Pero wala naman eh. Numbers are bleeding. In Mindanao, for example, if you look at Mindanao...
Can we look at the numbers? Like, I saw the Octa numbers. Her numbers dramatically collapsed from even January numbers. Forget about December numbers. So what is the WR numero? Like, how much has she dropped over the past 2 months or so? Do you have a double digit in?
So hindi naman siya double digit, no, sa amin, no. Pero 19.5, 20% siya, and she's now at the 15 to 17.
Oh, wow. Labas na labas. Yeah.
Labas na labas, no. At halimbawa, kahit pa mababa yung parang nung lumabas siya sa Magic 12 nung aming halimbawa nung March na survey na siya ay nasa mga 15, no? Kala natin that's, well, 14, hindi pa naman sobrang labas na labas. Pero ito, next round, 15 to 17 na siya. And
Oh, wow.
if you look at the other surveys, di ba, talagang yung trend is very clear na downwards, may decline. And pagka broadly nag-zoom out pa tayo at inalala natin, halimbawa, late last year,
Right.
halimbawa, October 2024, di ba? Senator Imee, nag-start naman yung pre-election polling natin, 4th, 5th? Si
Oh,
Senator
wow.
Imee.
Top 5, from top 5 to not even top 15. I mean, that's quite a dramatic decline, no? That's quite a dramatic decline. Once again, sorry, may konting lag. Baka mukhang may hindi natuwa sa sinasabi natin, Cleve. Going back to this, Cleve, habang frozen yung mukha ko dyan sa screen na yan, enjoyin muna natin yung aking wonderful sight. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
going
you're
back to
back, you're
this.
back.
I'm back, brother. I mean, okay, so what does Imee bring to Sara exactly? Because without going into the intra-DDS divisions, I mean, honey, let's set ek-ek lang yung Senate hearing niyan because wala nang practical effect yan sa situation ni Duterte. Panelo said something along the same line. So some of the DDS figures, top figures, including the common law wife of the former president, are openly questioning what is she up to or kung may saysay ito. So what does she bring to Sara Duterte per se? I mean, my sense is Robin Hood is positioning himself as the tandem just in case Sara makes it to 2028 and continues her momentum. Is Sara seeing her Imee as a potential partner for a 2028 race? I mean, what does she bring to the table considering last time I checked with fellow Ilocanos, galit na galit sila because loyalty to family is a big issue and now she's seen as really quite outside that realm of values, if I can put it that way.
Yeah, and halimbawa, I was just looking at some of the videos nung Davao City, di ba? Siyempre sa Davao, may yung pro-Duterte rally, no? Yung Bring Tatay Digong Back. And, if yung mga ordinary people interview on Imee, hindi naman binibili, no?
Yeah.
No one's buying it, eh. Marcos yan, no? And then, sabi nga ng mga supporters ng mga Duterte, they've been fooled once.
Yeah.
Papaloko pa ba ulit sa mga Marcos? Ganun yung ganun yung atake.
Pwede naman, magpaloko ka sa isang kapatid tapos magpaloko ka doon sa kabilang kapatid. I mean, maybe you can rotate this.
Naku, may tawag tayo dyan.
Marami tayong pwedeng tawag dyan. But to be budoled out or out-budoled is really quite something, no? Especially kung twice ka magbudol. But parang hindi masyadong mataas ang kamay ni Sara rin, ha? Sara doesn't look very convinced in that picture too. At least some of the pictures I've seen. Baka hindi ko lang nakita yung full-on endorsement ni Sara. Parang Sara looks not also very sure.
Yeah, I think, di ba, parang your question nga is that, ano bang binibigay ni Senator Imee kay Sara? Kasi it's clear that, of course, Senator Imee wants to get back to the Magic 12 lifeline niya si VP Sara. And you were saying na it might be about 2028, no? Pero ako, baka nga on a short term pa, may impeachment trial si VP Sara. And if Senator Imee wouldn't be re-elected, sayang yan. One vote yan dapat na sure siya, diba, na mataas ang chance na vote for acquittal niya. So I think this is really for convenience sake, very clear yung exchange eh. Kaya nga I think ang challenge dito ay for the DDS constituency, kaya ba nila na tignan way past the Marcos name and sincere ba ito para sa kanila or parang game? Kasi I think everyone, both sides, as you said, no, the Ilocanos can also see through it, no.
Yeah.
This is just convenience, eh. Unity na yun eh. Kaso 'di ba, nag-collapse na yung unity eh. Mukhang 'di ba, I think it's too
Too late? Too late.
Masyadong lang eh. Too
Hard
recent.
sell.
Reason to sell the same story again, 'di ba?
Well, I mean, going back to this, Cleve, I mean, I understand desperation for everyone there. I mean, Sara, in her case, I mean, she could face impeachment. Her dad is basically going to be locked away for the rest of his life, based on my understanding of the legal situation. But, I mean, still, Sara has way more to offer than Imee in this equation, right? Can this actually create more fault lines within the DDS camp? Because as we know, there's the Bongo Honeylet house, if I can put it that way, and then there's the other side, right? The Sara and the other side of the equation. So can the Imee factor actually play into that fault line? Especially if Imee loses and then Sara later on, struggles, diba? I'm sure babalikan nila yan. Ayan na naman si Sara. Because I remember this, bro. I was at the Comelec the day when Sara made it final. She's running for VP. Her followers could not accept that. Hindi, meron pong plot twist basically. So I think a part of them, maraming DDS na parang they're thinking Sara is allowing herself to be budoled by already one Marcos. How many more Marcoses is she? So kumbaga, this might reflect badly also on Sara down the road, right? If Imee especially loses, which is quite possible, if not probable, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Kaya nga ano ko dito, ang tawag ko na nga sa kanila, Team Itiman, no? So hindi sila part ng Team Kadiliman, Team Kasamaan. Iba pa, bagong team kasi nga among the
Nag-mutate parang
isang ano pa to, isang faction pa to because
Yeah.
As you can see, 'di ba, parang sinabi ni Sal Panelo, sinabi ni Hanelet, no? Ganun din naman
Si
sila
Prof. Clive
Ariel,
Arguelles.
iba din 'yun, 'di
Kasama
ba?
natin.
May mga comments din sila. So, I think ito 'yun and so may cracks, no? Very very clear yung cracks din dun sa Duterte constituency. I think ang talagang the unifying factor is in the Hague, no, inside the detention cell, no. So wala yung unifying factor nila, di magwawatak-watak talaga sila. And ngayon, I think also the attempt of VP Sara is to make sure that she will come out of this race, no, na siya yung kumbaga nagmana ng buong DDS, di ba? Not sure if you're still there.
No, I'm there. My face is frozen in
Okay.
amazement at the genius of this plan, right?
Kasi-
Pati yung internet ko na-freeze sa genius of this plan, yeah.
Di ba si Senator Bongo may sariling camp, no? So pagka si VP Sara dito siya tumaya kay Senator Imee and then wala pala, hindi naman makakabalik sa Magic 12, di ba? Minus point din yan sa kanya. And besides, no, etong pag-alliance nila, no, I think also a bit, hindi pala a bit, no, but I would say this is disrespectful din sa kanilang voters and supporters.
Yeah.
Kasi para, ang call lang nila is that, magtiwala kayo, may plano kami, basta iboto nyo pag sinabi kong iboto, no? Kasi clearly, di ba, ganun lang, no? Yung tingin nila dun sa kanilang mga sariling botante. So very disrespectful din. Kaya I think Sara might take a hit as well, no? Kung hindi magtagumpay itong plan na to, that's also her endorsement power being shown to be nothing but
Yun nga, yeah, exactly. I mean, again, I can see some maybe by who knows, maybe it will work, right? You never know with our wonderful voters. But ang daming downside to this. I mean, especially with this, yung time left until election day, parang I see 10 million downsides to this for Sara, basically, rather than Imee. I mean, I see everything for Imee, because Imee is just desperate. She has to hold on to something. Last time I checked, Sara is still a favorite to be the next president, and she's the vice president. But on Sara's side, I'm really struggling to see what is the logic here, because, in theory, if Imee Marcos loses, this will reflect badly on Sara rather than Ferdinand Marcos, the brother, right? Because they'll say, si yan kasi, sumama ka sa kabila, yan, talo ka pa, di ba? In fact, if Sara did not endorse Imee, it could have still kind of come down as like, tingnan mo naman si BBM, sa lahat ng mga alyansa member, halos wala naman fully loyal sa kanya. Isa lang kapatid niya, natalo pa. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are many ways to spin it, but now it'll be very hard to spin this. So I think, kumbaga, yung weight on the shoulders of BBM were lightened thanks to Sara Duterte. Again, of course, who knows? It might work. It's a wild bet. It's too crazy. It might work, but so far it just doesn't make sense to me unless both sides are actually equally desperate and combine forces. Now I want to go to the other side of the equation kasi so far parang criticism natin with the Imee Sara thing is that they may end up both alienating some of their bases. Like Sara may empower the other rival factions who now obviously are no one meets she's the vice president, but who knows if Bongo becomes number one. But anyway, and then the other side of the coin naman is, I think what we're realizing here is, ang laki ng chance ng 7-8 alyansa mananalo, right? Based on the numbers, name recall, resources, machinery, plus 5 to 10% in the fund. So basically, then you have two independents na pretty strong. One is Ben Tulfo, another is Willie. And then meron kang Bongo and Bato. So it's really, really a tight race if Team Liwanag wants to make it in. So my concern here is, um, parang so far ang hindi pa parang kurot-kurot na lang yata ang hope nila na parang by just avoiding these two houses fights and just focusing purely I don't know kain or like gut issues literally, that they might get enough from every side so that they might put something together. Yun ang sense ko eh. I would say even more in the case of Bam than Kiko. I would say Kiko is a little bit slightly more interesting, although we can talk about the interesting memes about him recently. But ang point ko naman dyan is yung kurut-kurut style na yan might not work in an hyper-polarized situation whereby nag-consolidate na yung vote base ng Dutertes. I mean, Mark Oleta's numbers, Philip Salvador's number, even Jimmy Bondok's number. I don't see that as like tuloy-tuloy natataas sila. I just see that as a full consolidation of the DDS support base behind any candidate na sympathetic sa kanya kasi survival mode na sila. So in that situation, parang the kurut-kurut style or playing safe, even some would say, might not work because wala eh, parang you'll just be boxed out in this situation. Kaya sabi ko, better make a big bet and lose but take a principled stance, or at least take a chance, or otherwise, you might either be accused of not taking a principled stance, or you might just end up like irrelevant in this race. I mean, what is your read of the Kiko Bam game here? Because they're the two most competitive ones. And to be honest, I don't know I don't know. Have you seen the Pulse Asia one? Because I saw the Pulse Asia one for Kiko. That was weird. He lost 15 points in Visayas. It doesn't make sense to me. How did he lose 15 points in Visayas? But he's top 12 in your and Okta surveys. What is your read of Bam and Kiko? Because they have a very good chance, but nevertheless, baka ma-box out sila, di ba? As the both houses consolidate.
You're right. And so na-maintain nila, no, may slight improvement sila sa WR numero survey, no, 12 to 13 na sila, no, with together with Bam, no, Bam and Kiko, no. So, and this is the challenge eh, kasi in that place, in that scenario, para makapasok talaga sila, shoe in talaga sa Magic 12, you really need, as you've said, no, hindi pwede pakurot-kurot, but a wholesale improvement, no. Medyo large scale yung kailangan nilang improvement, no. And the good thing is that there's something that can be done about it, no? And I think yung helpful dito para dun sa ating mga nasa Team Liwanag, ako as a someone na nag-start in sa politics as a youth activist, no? Kailangan natin i-situate yung election not as the end all and be all of our politics, diba? Yung election napaka-specific na yan eh, na playing fields, diba? Paramihan ng boto, paramihan ng makakaalyado from the ground to the national level, no? And then that's how you win, no? And sometimes I think you can't win on your own terms, no? And marami naman tayong mga eventually very progressive leaders, no? In not just in the Senate but in other places as well, na you just have to meet the voters halfway. And I think this is an opportunity for Sen Kiko, Sen Bam, no? Na baka kaya natin na mag-tap ng mga new voters, because I think the Team Liwanag and of course the base that they are that they have been mobilizing for the past elections, no, medyo may challenges kasi 28-27%, no, just ceiling yan ng reform progressive constituency sa ating bansa. So that only means that there's no other way to win these elections kasi hindi naman to papabaan ng boto eh. Kung if may different rules yung elections, then pwede tayo mag-decide on our own, but hindi. So I think there's no other way, no, but to start thinking about how do we then get new voters, and by new voters really outside the reform progressive constituency, no, hindi na yung mga reformists. So medyo
okay, I'll push on that. So now let's be more specific, right? Your survey, based on my discussion with Robin, your colleague, is that more than 60% of Filipinos ay sang-ayon dun sa ICC going after yung mga basically architects of the EJ case. So that means around a third or ish na pwede siguro yun yung ceiling na for DDS side. Pero more than 6 out of 10 Filipinos, right, ay medyo bukas dun sa idea ng ICC, potentially issue ng Sara impeachment. So isn't that naturally gonna say that better for Kiko and Bam to actually be more clear about where they stand on the ICC issue if ever they're not as clear as they should be? Because ang laki nung pwede mo pang iakyat yung numbers mo. I mean, I'm not talking about reaching out like to like loyalist vote. No, even yung mga nasa NCR, Luzon, some regions, even Visayas in parts of Mindanao na talagang pati sila ay sangayon na dapat magkaroon ng accountability dito sa issue ng ICC. Kaya nga sabi ko yung kurut-kurut and medyo play it a bit safe. Ang danger mo dyan is you're punching below your potential ceiling eh. Diba? You're creating an artificial ceiling for yourself, right? Well, pwede mo i-expand yan to 6 out of 10 Filipinos. Although, of course, you're never gonna get that high unless you're top 5 or ish. But parang, and I don't know, you tell me what your numbers are telling you guys because parang feeling ko mas bukas ang mga I mean, if you're gonna go all the way, mas bukas pa yung loyalista to vote for Aquino at this point, considering how bad things are, than DDS being open to vote for an Aquino or definitely Pangilinan. I doubt that, right? Parang, even heuristically, I just don't see how the kurut-kurut and trying to have one both sides and all might work. I don't know. What are your numbers telling you?
Yeah, in fact, pag tinignan mo yung mga Mindanao respondents sa survey, no, medyo napupuno na nila yung slate nila, no? Then
Yeah.
when you look at, for example,
Consolidate, yeah.
Balance Luzon or rest of Luzon, no? And Metro Manila. So that means ito mga market votes to. Hindi din natin parang Mindanao, we assume okay, Duterte has a strong influence on that, no? So sinong may influence dito? Could be Marcos because this is a part of the rest of Luzon is North Luzon, right? So I think you're right in the observation na yung Duterte constituency medyo mahirap na yan. Hindi na
Yeah.
yan makukuha ni Kiko tsaka ni Bam. Kung meron man, kurut-kurut yan, di ba?
And then, I don't think makukuha mo rin yan with just saying, di mo na ako mag-comment on the impeachment or ICC. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, that won't be enough for them because Mark Oleta or I don't know, Philip Salvador or Jimmy Bondoc, what they're offering is way more than that. Di ba? Kasi yun din di ba? If you're just gonna choose 6 to 8 people, may 10 na dyan na Team DDS plus Amy Marcos who are willing to offer you everything, right? Including bring back Duterte. While on the other side, I think just to signal lang na bukas ka sa trial of Sara in the Senate might be just good enough for them. Hindi ba? Parang and it's also the quantum, the threshold of what could win them over. Ang taas sa DDS side Because survival na yung situation nila di ba?
That's true. And I think, it's a matter of getting that message across to the right audiences And yun nga,
Yeah.
hindi mo naman na audience yung mga Duterte supporters Others yung supporters mo. And of course, if for example, Marcos loyalist that, and definitely there's a high chance they support that the Marcos government cooperated and helped with the arrest of the Dutertes, right? Kung hindi naman, our survey said na in the question ng nakabuti man o nakasama ang panunungkulan ni Pangulong Duterte, dapat pa din na managot siya sa batas, no? So things like that, no, na okay, sabihin natin na good man or bad yung assessment mo ng the 30 years. The point is right now I stand for accountability and justice, no? So
Yeah.
I think may promising yung ganong klaseng posisyon, especially that we are seeing na yung latest na April 2025 survey namin on the ICC, no? Actually mas malaki na yung mas dumami ng kaunti, no? Dati kasi 5 out of 10 yung nagsasabi na they support the ICC investigation. Now it's 6 out of 10. So there's really potential here.
Yeah, I think yung idea ng quantum, the threshold is very clear. Kasi if you want to be endorsed by the DDS side, basically you have to offer what Amy is offering, right? Like I'm willing to do a hearing to
And
embarrass.
she's not even being...
And even that is not enough at this point, right? So imagine that. Even with Sara endorsement, I doubt there'll be a full coalescing or crystallizing behind Amy. Now imagine if you're Aquino or Pangilinan ang name mo, and then you're not even offering half of what Amy is offering, and then you would think you still, you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand it's, again, the kurut-kurut strategy, I get that instinctively, but I just don't see it with the alignments and the new realignments. And I think everyone is reading the writing on the wall. Pumili ka ng camp mo. Because even Villiers now, I think, even the Villiers are known to really be masters of Balinese-style politics, right? If I can put it that way. Even they are pretty much making it clear, saan sila tataya. as push comes to shove, basically. Now, last part of this, I know you need to rest, my friend. I can see pula rin ng mata mo. Going back to this, Cleve, what is your read of what's happening with Kiko right now? Hindi ba any PR is good PR at this point in time? First, I look at Senator Pacquiao's numbers. It's horrible. He had even more drop than Imee in Octa survey. I don't know about your survey. He's not also doing super good in other surveys compared to what you would expect for a former presidential candidate. And, well, pambansang ka mo. And my sense is because Pacquiao is just not in the news headlines or anything. Parang lahat na lang bato di ba? Bato and all of that. So if you're Kiko now, and I know they have really limited budget. I mean, dito ako believe kila Kiko and to say, I would say even the other candidates, sobrang limited ng resources nila. Isn't what happened the memes? Well, probably a good thing if he can turn this around with self-humor and self-deprecation, no?
I think so. And if you're a good sport, di ba?
Yeah,
Pwede, no?
exactly.
And I think ang maganda dito kasi, we natututo naman na tayo kung paano i-address yung parang mga disinformation networks, no?
Yeah,
Parang ang kailangan mo mag-respond agad, di ba? You have to, hindi mo pwedeng ignore. Kasi dati, ignore lang natin fake news, wag natin pansinin. Pero mabilis din naman na sumagot sina Senator Kiko at tapos may mga nakakatawa ding mga intervention, no? So and
Yeah.
that's the
Juicy.
way to the heart of Filipino voters. In fact, actually guys, you know that we just came from the Central Luzon State University. Doon ko din actually nalaman, so very recent na usual pala talaga na nahalo yung gatas sa kanin, no?
Right.
Gatas ng kalabaw, no? Usually. And that's a staple, no? Tinignan ko din sa TikTok, no?
Yeah.
Okay, so baka mamaya pala with this PR, no? Good, bad
Actually, it
PR.
might help him. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, naka-reach siya ng bagong mga audience, di ba? That otherwise he would not have reached.
Well, based on the sub category data I saw, actually does very well among Gen Zs. Yun ang pinakamalaking improvement niya, and NCR. And Visayas is slightly his area of weakness. Although everyone is confounded, how did he lose 15 points in Visayas? It's just, anyway, maybe it's a statistical anomaly. I don't know. There may be a methodology issue, but whatever. Ang point ko is, I honestly don't, I see a lot of upside to this, despite the seeming downside. Kasi with Mar Rojas, obviously, it was more downside than anything. But I think Kiko can ride this, diba, and turn this into his favor, especially because he doesn't have the resources for going for the air war and all sorts of different SOCMED wars. So I think he should just ride this and make the most out of this. So yun yung siguro ang free advice natin dyan. Now, this is the last part of discussion. So basically,
Tita Shawi, baka pwedeng
ay, hindi. Last minute na, hindi lang Tita Shawi, di ba, yung pamangkin niya, yung, what's his name, the singer, di ba? So, marami siyang, star power I think he has a lot of guns to bring out at the last minute. So, I think, but, which raises really, this is the last part of the discussion. One is tactical coalition, the other one is tactical voting. This is where the tar part comes in. So I was just warming up. Ito na, maka-cancel na tayo. Okay. So basically, does this go down to Team Liwanag sa dilim last minute de facto coalition as the Alianza sheds maybe more than even 2 candidates? Baka 2 madadrop dahil medyo walang pag-asa. 2 lumabas na. So basically, 7 or 8 na lang real candidates ng Alianza at most. They have quite some space to support some like-minded forces, not in general, but tactically, right? I got obviously the notion of tactical voting from Alexei Navalny, right? When his group would support communists just to beat the United Russia, and he pissed off the hell out of the. And funnily, 30 to 25% din yung ceiling ng United Russia ni Putin, diba? And yung 70% he would divide it among loyal opposition, except Alexei Navalny came in and just jumbled it by supporting the second, third best in each constituencies until nabuisit na sila. And of course, unfortunately, they went really for what you would expect from Kremlin in those situations. So I got the idea of tactical voting from like extreme cases like Russia. Would tactical voting make sense also in the Philippines, even though we're not Russia?
Pwede, no? Kasi parang popular front din no? Kung malinaw sa atin na we can't go back. There's no going back,
Yeah.
guys. Grabe 'yon, 'di ba? Grabe ang mga patayan. at yung attacks din sa mga democratic institutions. I mean, I think that's the trade-off here eh. And I think it's very clear na we can't go back to that, no?
Yeah.
So pwede, kaya ako nga eh, para lang simple, I know this is a sensitive topic, no? Pero I think Alyansa, they're in a position of strength, no? Sana i-offer na nila. Sana buksan na nila yung natitira pa nilang mga slots, no? Doon sa Team Liwanag, no?
Oo.
I think dahil una, they have to if I'm part of the Alyansa, I'm looking at Senator Go and Senator De La Rosa. I know na ano na yan, no? Mukhang mahirap i-challenge,
Oo.
no? Kaya pa, pero mahirap
Well,
i-challenge, no?
baka kaya pa i-arrest yung isa at least.
Antabayanan niyo po yung aming survey on the co-perpetrators,
Yeah,
no?
exactly. Yeah.
Next week after Holy Week, no? Ninilay-nilay
Sana
muna tayo.
ma-conscientize lalong tao in the coming days. Yeah.
As hulihan na.
Yeah.
So you know, so I think clear eh. Tapos may natitirang spots, no? From the kahit na tactical na lang, if you're Malacanang, you have the resources, no? Alam mo na if you leave two names blank on the ballot, no? That's two names na mapupunta sa kalaban mo. And you have different camps, no? Kailangan mo mamili, 'di ba? Sino tutulungan mo? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I think pwedeng pagdaanan dito yung friend. So hindi kailangan manggaling agad kay Kiko at Bam, no? I think from a position of strength, maaring manggaling sa alyansa kung sila ay interesado, no? Baka mapadala natin ang mensaheng ito kay Toby, no? Kanilang
Shout out sa ano. No, but going back to this, of course, tactical coalition is something that will leave to the politicians at the end of the day, and subtleties that it will involve, because I'm sure everyone is scared to be cancelled, especially on the side of the progressive candidates. It could be a kiss of death. I understand that. Not to mention, I'm sure our politicians are all very principled. But what about on the part of voters? Kasi mas mahirap pa na tanong yan, di ba? Like for instance, if you are Team Liwanag supporter, should you also be open to voting, I don't know, more of a Pacquiao so that, I don't know, a Willie doesn't get in? Yung Ben medyo mahirap eh. But kasi my sense is if Ben and Willie get in, I doubt Ben and Willie will be very excited to vote against Sara, right? Or even be open to a trial. But I think a Pacquiao, I think, one or two other members of Alianza, you would think na, yung mga mas mahihinang Alianza member, not yung mga nasa top 5 na, you would think that some of them may be much more, maybe Nancy Bina, although Nancy Bina is quite high doon sa ibang survey nakita ko. Parang I could think of 2 or 3 Alianza members who are not doing as fine, hindi pa sila top 5, but you rather have them than, I don't know, Ben, Willie, Bongo, Bato, Philip Salvador. Do you get what I'm saying? I know it's very hard. I understand it. Kasi lalo-lalo na kasi ang laki ng chance na it might even work against your candidates because maybe those candidates are the competition. I get it. But eventually, you should, at least in principle, be open to that kind of voting, right? You're like second, third degree preference mo. Isama mo dun sa 12 kasing choices mo eh, di ba? So, gets ko naman kung hindi 12 ang i-fill up mo. Pero sana naman hindi lang 2, 3, or 4 lang, di ba?
Yeah, I think may chance naman, no, to do that kind of tactical voting. I think also you have to be clear para hindi maging mauwi sa sinong pangalan ilalagay mo. Naman din batayan na what are your priority considerations? Is your priority that we get a fair and clean impeachment trial? Is that your priority? Then I think may mga pangalan dyan na alam mo na likely papahirapan tayo na magkaroon ng patas na impeachment trial sa Senado kung makapasok sila, right? And then you know names na you might disagree with them on policies. Ayoko niyan, medyo conservative yan masyado. Medyo hindi yan medyo hindi progressive yung kanyang mga policies, no? Pero as a Democrat, 'di ba? Parang isa sa mga foundational principles din natin is that we might disagree on policies with other politicians, with other camps, no? But I will at least prioritize support, no, doon sa mga willing to also support yung liberal democratic playing field, right? Which is dapat yung mga foundational civil liberties are protected, no, at nagagamit natin. So I think may mga kaya kang
Yeah.
ilagay, no? Siyempre, kung may personal objection ka sa mga iba, no, na pangalan, maaari naman na hindi, no? Pero I think what is clear is that wag mo din agad pangunahan na you cannot, 'di ba? Na hindi maaari kasi ako solid lang ako, no?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, as I've said, no,
Yeah.
elections is not a good way to demonstrate our politics, no, fully. It's a specific part of our politics,
Can
no.
I go on a limb or put you on a limb rather? You tweeted something like you're okay with tactical, I don't know, tactical voting, but not tactical betrayal or something. Okay, I will not try to read too much into it, but let's just say some people would interpret that in the context of um. Sige na nga, take out na lang natin yung part. No, ganito na lang. Okay, ganito na lang. Okay. Ako kasi may mga how should I put it? Obviously, if you look at Mom Heidi Mendoza, right, for instance, right, I think she's getting a lot of flack for the pretty conservative position she took, which actually I'm totally not shocked because liberals in the Philippines are very conservative by European standards, right? I mean, most of them will not. Parang they're more like Christian Democrats than social Democrats or even centrist Democrats, right? So I'm totally not surprised that actually a lot of mga Team Liwanag people I am much more to the right or center on certain social issues na let's just say medyo polarizing pa rin. This is not a value judgment. It's just an assessment of the political landscape. Do you think na some people like us were unfair to say na baka cancel culture na lang nangyari dito? Or you think it's understandable na some people na deal breaker sa kanila yan? Kasi sabi ko, di ba, dalawa yung type 1 error is magbulag-bulagan ka sa lahat ng mali ng isang kandidato dahil lang may isa siyang issue na malapit sa puso mo. Type 2 error is mukhang maayos naman tong candidate overall, constitutional order, blah blah. Pero may mga isa siyang dalawang medyo either sablay or medyo na-misquote or medyo ano, pero baka bukas sa dialogue pero ika-cancel mo dahil malapit din sa puso mo yung issue na yan. How do you read it? Was my framing even wrong? If that were even the framing of the situation, although you know I'm still trying to gather sentiments on this issue. Yeah.
Right. Well, I think I think it has something to do more with how others responded, no, na halimbawa bakit niyo naman pipiliin yung kabaklaan nyo kaysa sa demokrasya ng bansa or sa anti-corruption. I think it's that parang pag-hierarchize.
Yeah.
You know, it's
na trivialize yung yeah.
miserable country nag-hierarchize tayo ng miseries and then your point is that our miseries are not as important as yours. I think yun, no. May ganung
I see, okay.
May ganung I think may ganung flavor yon, no, na
dismissiveness,
na response, no. And I think I understand na marami naman talaga sa reform constituency very moralist, 'di ba? EDSA, the story of EDSA is very moralist, no? Kaya nga yung, 'di ba, yung anti-dictatorship na medyo class-based na struggle when naging people power yan, naging mas moralist middle class yung flavor, no, than a class-based one, no. So it's not, as you've said, it's not surprising. But I think what's surprising to me and what I didn't like, no, ay yung parang you just leave your supporters and your constituency on their own, no. Kasi di ba, kuwari si Miss Heidi, no, she has shown na meron siyang mga LGBT supporters and that she has welcomed those support, no. So at the very least, I think she should be very open. I think the language din na di ako agree dyan, hindi yan pwede sa institution, no.
Medyo more dapat sensitivity, yeah. Pero so she said she's open to dialogue on that, hindi ba? Isn't that
eventually, no. I think after na ng which proves na okay, then you know, she deserves our support then, no. So parang yan ako parang ganito din yan na may konting tampo, 'di ba? Halimbawa I think kay Bam, no, may nagkaroon ng konting tampo nung dinownplay niya yung impeachment
as a political issue, yeah.
You have to listen and know your constituency. And in this case, constituency ni Miss Heidi kasi yung ating civil society, bagamat talagang tinapakan nung nakaraang administrasyon, no, tinatry nating maging tactical, tinatry nating magkaisa, totoong unity team, no? 'Di ba? Yung LGBT, yung anti-corruption and the other civil
Yeah.
society and personal issues. Kaya so talagang emotional responses din na masakit, no? So yun, so I think gano'n. Pero I think ano naman may deliberation and discussion and we found our way na
Right.
not Senator Heidi, no, but di pa pala.
Senatorial. Yeah, yes, sir. No, no,
Uh,
I thank you for saying that. So basically what you're saying is um hindi tayo pwede magkaroon ng imposition of ano yung quantum or threshold ng acceptability of deviation. I mean, I know it's sound parang the quantum of deviation should parang gets mo, right? Parang for me, ito lang dapat deal breaker, dapat sumunod kayo. Pag sa inyo deal breaker yung hindi deal breaker sa akin, tas awayin kita, parang unfair naman 'yun. Okay, I see what you're saying. And kaya nga sabi ko, I didn't make a final stance on that issue. I just said in general, just make sure to avoid kasi yung type 1 error got us an ICC level criminal, 'di ba? Uh, and your type 2 error could make us lose a lot of totkas who may not be 10 out of 10, not even 8 out of 10, but definitely head and shoulders above the circus we might get or at least we have so far, 'di ba? So I know it's a hard one, but tama ka. I think siguro mas dapat magalit pang tao dun sa mga iba na nag-dismiss dun sa negative feelings ng tao na ay hindi yung issue nyo, dapat mamaya na kayo, hindi na yung I think mas nainis dapat ang mga tao doon because in fairness to Ma'am Heidi, I think she at least recognized na insensitive talagang labas nung phrasing and all of that because I mean Lenny was not necessarily for divorce and abortion too, right? Last time I checked, right? But I think Lenny was very careful around the language, around the cadence, even sometimes not even going into it at all, right? And yet, she was the candidate of the Team Liwanag.
Yes, and yeah, and I think ang mahirap kasi you can really impose, 'di ba? Halimbawa, we've discussed tactical voting, strategic
Yeah.
necessity, pero mahirap na gawin mong primary. You can of course invite people to consider that as a consideration. Pero para sabihin na yun ang pinakamataas, yun siguro yung mahirap. Except, and I think babalik tayo lagi dito, lagi tayo bumabalik, except if we are a party. Remember, open discussion to You can't call for centralism, no? Centralism. Walang democratic centralism walang si sentro kasi wala namang party here 'di ba?
Yeah.
But I remember in some electoral context, meron talagang merong parang strategic alliance na we don't comment on your issues, we don't criticize you, you don't criticize us, but we do it internally. Because we have a venue for that and we don't have a venue for that, no? ID is not in a in a specific party, Kiko and Bam, 'di ba? Parang wala tayong ganyang language and therefore nangyayari then of course we advance our own. And I think ito din yung talagang napapanahon na we have a strong LGBT movement, we have a strong parang anti-corruption movement, but we have failed time and time again, no, to build our own party. That could have been an avenue
Right.
for us to settle our differences on these kinds of issues.
And to really end on that note, yun nga, I think, and that's where the DDS is still a force to reckon with, right? Not because they're the majority, they're not even a big plurality, but because, tama naman si Senator, maingay sila na minority, pero they're organized. I mean, you could see, they put something together. I saw that with my own eyes. Hanggang ngayon, maraming pa rin tao dyan sa The Hague, di ba? Kaya naiinis na lahat ng mga kapitbahay doon, di ba? I think no one expected this will be the case. In fairness, they're organized, whether among our FW brothers and sisters, whether in certain parts of the country. So I think the lesson for other groups is organization. At the end of the day, without organization, you're just a bunch of, analytics, right? They're like just, popping up here and there, right? And you have to crystallize that. Tama ka talaga And I think that's where hopefully, after these elections, no matter what happens, there'll be a clear leadership in terms of, congealing, kumbaga. Ano ba talaga yung Team Liwanag? It's a vibe thing So far, level lang tayo ng vibe, di ba? Wala pa tayo sa level ng policy details and level of basically what we want for our country, a future-forward version of Philippines, right? Talagang detailed, pinagdedebatihan, talagang may package of policies, bukas sa dialogue, negotiations, analytics. Kumbaga napaka pre-modern pa rin yung level of natin, 'di ba? Organization natin. Considering napaka highly educated and I would say high resourced even yung supporters ng Team Liwanag as we saw in 2022. In short, punching well below its weight. So it's interesting that on one hand I said na there's this 60% na you can push the roof, the ceiling. At the same time, within that 20-25% or 15 million votes or 20 million votes, ang dami rin resources if it's translated into kind of a party the organization. And hopefully we'll have Senator, we'll have Attorney Dina De Leon to explain that further. Kasi I announced to people that God willing, cross-fingered, we're hopefully trying to establish our foundation, and who knows, maybe that will be one step in the right direction. Maraming salamat, Prof. Cleve Arguelles, for really sharing your time. I'm sorry we went 4 minutes above the time I promised. I hope I didn't exhaust you too much. Salamat, Cleve, and hopefully, God willing, next time we'll catch each other in person, and hopefully you'll be in a far better shape than you have been. Salamat, God bless you, and let's discuss also yung next survey nyo next week pag lumabas na siya. Ano na ba? Is bato na next? Bato sa langit. Salamat, Cleve. Pasensya na ulit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard.
God bless. Thank you. Alright, guys. Thank you so much. So that was Professor Cleve Arguelles, lead ng research sa WR Numero, also formerly assistant professor at UP Manila, and also someone who did his graduate school in ANU, and of course also in Central European University on populism. So expertise talaga niya yung populism, comparative populism, Thailand, Philippines, Hungary, European populism. So isa siya sa mga tao na parating nating sounding board when it comes to issues like that. And of course now they do a lot of their analytics and all, kaya na-appreciate ko talaga. But as I said, we're not here just to have just interesting substantive discussions. As we speak, together with Dino and some of our common, like-minded friends, we're hoping to create a foundation, and then let's say for 2028, we can create something more concrete. So maraming salamat. Thank you very much again sa lahat ng mga sumusuporta sa atin, nagmamahal sa atin. As you know, this will be a Holy Week. So towards the, siguro after middle of this week, mag-break muna tayo from politika. Let's try to focus and transition into other important things in life, family, spirituality, yung mga reading siguro na hindi natin nabasa ng mga libro, tapusin natin. But for tomorrow, we'll try to have Dino De Leon, Attorney Dino De Leon, to also discuss these issues. And I'm also, fingers crossed, I'm hoping to have Justice Carpio with us, and also Attorney Cristina Conti, to discuss naman yung issue ng EJK at saka yung mga biktima ng war on drugs. Because I think a Holy Week is also a proper time for self-awareness, and more importantly, for conscientizing dun yung mga kababayan natin na unfortunately, I think hindi pa rin namulat dun sa katotohanan pagdating sa sufferings and deaths and killings ng ating mga kapatid when it comes to Duterte's war on drugs, or extrajudicial killings, to be more technical and specific about this. Maraming salamat, God bless, and talk to you soon. Thank you very much po, and please don't forget to be a member dito ng YouTube natin, YouTube community natin. At the price of a single Nespresso, you can be a part of our wonderful community. And of course, again, it's not about the amount, it's about the love, the thoughtfulness, and about para naman ma-feel naman namin na may pag-asa naman yung mga foundation at saka mga gagawin namin movements down the road. Because we don't want to be dependent on any faction or political groups or oligarchs katulad ng iba. At the end of the day, we want to crowdfund, crowdsource everything that we do para we're as independent as possible at talagang para sa bayan tayo. Speaking of para sa bayan, bukas ng noontime, God willing, we're gonna have our latest Utak Forum. Pag-usapan natin West Philippine Sea, Trump 2.0, and of course, yung allegations ng mga Chinese spies sa Pilipinas at yung mga kawawang estudyante natin na ina-allege na espiya daw sila sa China. Pag-usapan natin mga seryosong issue na yan. Kasama naman natin yung mga senior officials from relevant agencies pagdating sa ating usapin West Philippine Sea. God bless and talk to you soon.